Hello, my name is Peter Vu, and today I'm going to be talking about the article Police Violence, Race, and Protest in America. The goal of this article is to inform readers of the current events regarding all Black Lives Matter, to explain in depth what caused these protests, and to explain that change is possible. In the article, it talks about how there have been a long history of injustice towards African Americans, and this situation with George Floyd has sparked outrage. It has sparked this movement, and people are trying to change the system that is currently in place. The tone is very empathetic while talking to African Americans. You can see here in the article that when they talk about African Americans, they live in the worst cities, they live in the worst schools, worst healthcare, and whenever anything happens, African Americans get hit the most. And it's just this cycle of injustice that has sparked this, right? And whenever they talk about police, they're just informative. They're and at the end, it's hopeful. The language changes as the author is describing different things, and there is a bias, right? In every article, there is a bias. The author isn't writing in a perspective of a police officer, someone that is there actually with protesters, right? So there is a little bias there, right? And there are people with other perspectives of the protest saying that it's the protesters' fault. It's not the police's fault. It's not our system. And people just can't get rid of that. They can't get rid of that the way they feel and what their perspective is. Using that same example that I use in the tone, the one where she talks about the worst schools, worst healthcare, worst jobs. Some people don't understand the racist system that we currently have, and so people reading this article could find it very biased. People would say this is a left wing article trying to distract from the protesters being violent. Like that's the kind of bias that this article could have. The article is organized well with each topic leading into the next one. Each paragraph has a clear topic set, and so you know what the paragraph's going to be about. And the article is consistent throughout with effective transition words that make it easy for topics to lead into one another. And the article is organized kind of like a timeline, beginning with comparing this era to the past era and ending with how change is actually possible. And so the claim here that it compares the era back to 1968, and not much has changed. If you can see in the article right here, it says that the year is 1968. It is also 2020. In 1968, the virus is the flu, and the space mission is Apollo 7, where ours is SpaceX, and our virus is coronavirus. And the racism still hasn't changed. The next claim is change is possible, and that it's shown already in another city. This article actually links a different article right here about Camden, New Jersey, a police department in Camden, New Jersey, and how they changed their city. They actually implemented a 1-day course about de-escalating training and implicit bias training. And after that 1 day, apparently all officers know how to de-escalate and overcome these bias. And you can see that it has actually done tremendous results because Camden has grown safer. In 2014, citizens lodged 65 excessive force complaints. Last year, they lodged 3. And as the community trusts the police more, the community becomes safer. And this is obtainable in all cities if there were just people to force it to happen, right? And this last claim that there's a system that hurts Black Americans the most, and that's true. Communities that are one street apart don't get the same tools that these other cities have, even though they're one street apart, because of a racist system. A system that is known to oppress African American communities. I would say the impact of the article isn't too great because there have been multiple articles about what is what is happening currently. But the article is well constructed and it is easy for readers to understand. But there's one thing that the article does show, and it shows that there is evidence of change. I haven't seen much articles about what change would look like, what change actually means. I understand there needs to be a change, but how? And this article actually shows, with the link to the other article, about how police departments can change and better the trust between community and police officers to lower these devastating tragedies that continually happen. Overall, I thought this article was a great informative read if you want to know what kind of change is possible, and I believe the author does show their view. The author understands the pain African Americans have been dealing with throughout all of history and agrees that change is needed and is able to obtain. And for anyone that wants to know more information, reading articles about Black Lives Matter is the only way that we can educate people and finally get the change that African Americans deserve. Thank you.